In this video, I'm going to talk about how to actually get paid for your SMMA. We went through all the work, we got our first client, they're ready to do business with us. Now, how do we get that money into our bank account? Funny enough, this is one of the biggest challenges that Derek and I had when we were first starting our social media marketing agency. We hit the ground running. We got our first client in like 2 weeks. And then we said, we're not set up to take payment. How do we even take payment as a business? And at that time, there were no courses like the SMMA Blueprint. There were no groups like our new group, Growth School, explaining how to do this and where we could go to questions. So we went down a rabbit hole of Google trying to figure this out, and it took us forever. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen to you. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Real quick, I just mentioned Growth School. If you haven't already, check out Growth School. It's an awesome exclusive community of agency owners who are super committed, gassing each other up, helping each other out on their journey, combined with a bunch of additional courses that we have that help you start, grow, and scale your own social media marketing agency. There's nothing like it, I guarantee you that. Check it out. I'll link it in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment. In this video, I'm going to talk about 7 different methods, most of which we've used ourselves. And if we don't use them ourselves, we use them to pay other people, and I'll explain that in a minute. Real quick, let's spend just a couple of seconds here talking about what you need in order to get paid. The first thing that you're absolutely going to want to have in place with your client before you start doing any work for them is a contract in place. I'll link to a free contract in the description down below that you can use to have mutual protections between you and your new client. This protects you in case anything goes wrong, and it protects them, just makes everybody have a proper business relationship. You want to have this in place with any clients that you work with. You also want to have this in place with any contractors that you work with or people you hire for your team. That way they can't sue you. The second thing that you want is hopefully some sort of business bank account. I really like a platform called Novo. It's a digital bank here in the United States. I think they are eligible in a bunch of other countries as well. But it's basically just a great, really nice interface, really simple to use. We really like it a lot, and it's completely free. But feel free to do your own research. But once you set up your LLC or your sole proprietorship or whatever you're going to incorporate your business as, one of the first things you want to go ahead and get is a business bank account. It's going to make finances that much easier. The final thing that you need is a payment method of choice, and we're going to talk about that here in a moment. But I want to mention you can use any of these. Many of our clients pay us through several of these different payment methods. We've got one client that pays us with method A, method B, method C. We get payments from all sorts of different payment methods. It really just depends on the client and what they want to do. So let's talk about it. So the first method is a paper check. Yes, a paper check. They literally mail it to you. It shows up in the mail, and you deposit it into your bank account. It's super simple. You can use any platform like QuickBooks or any of the invoicing platforms that I'm going to talk about in this video. They receive the invoice and they mail you a check to your address. You literally take a photo with your mobile bank or go to an ATM machine, deposit it there. Super simple. Pros of this payment method are just the ease of it. You've done it before. Grandpa gave you a check for your birthday back in the day. You know how it works. Your clients know how it works. It makes it super simple. When we were first getting started, a lot of our clients just paid us with paper check. When we would show up to shoot content or whatever it was, they'd literally just hand us a check. Super straightforward, super easy. The con of it is that it's very slow. The client literally needs to put a check in the mail, and as somebody who literally pays vendors ourselves now through paper check, because that's the only payment method that some of them accept for some reason, I can attest that it's a pain in the butt to have to go and mail stuff. You got to drive over to the post office because your mail carrier doesn't pick it up unless you have like the right kind of mailbox. It's just a pain. But again, it's super easy, and a lot of clients will just pay you this way. We run a 7-figure agency today, and we've got many clients that literally still mail us a check because their accounts payable department of their company just mails a check out. So one of the most popular methods of getting paid online today is a platform called Stripe. Basically, all that Stripe is something that's completely free to start using. You can just set up a free account, and you can send invoices through it, and you can get paid through it. It's basically just a way to take credit card payments or ACH payments on the internet. It looks just like what you're seeing on the right-hand side of the screen when a client receives it. This is one of our invoices that's due in a couple of days here. You send them an invoice, and they just pay it similar to like a Shopify checkout. If you've ever bought anything online, you recognize this. I mean, they can literally use Google Payments to do it if they have a GPay account to pay a $9,000 invoice. Pretty crazy. Really easy. Money hits your account a couple of days afterward, typically. The more volume you have, the faster your payments hit. We get paid in 1 or 2 days. And the pros, again, very fast, very easy for clients. It's a frictionless payment method, which is why most of our clients pay us this way. I also find that a lot of them, because they're paying via credit card, they earn credit card points on their side. So they are sort of incentivized to pay it via credit card, so you get paid faster. But there is a con. There's a 3% transaction fee. And as you do more and more volume, you actually have additional fees that are added over time. So we're doing $1 million a year through Stripe right now, and I think that our percentage is actually up to like almost 5%. It's just kind of BS because we literally get paid for putting more through the platform, but they do have additional protections and stuff on the money that's being sent just due to the volume of money that's going through our Stripe account. So I guess they're, sort of making sure that we're more secure in exchange for those additional fees. But again, it's so frictionless. Our clients pay through this all the time. And I did find that when we moved to Stripe versus getting paid via paper check, we were paid on time more frequently, and it was just a more, again, frictionless way of doing payments. You can also, in your legal agreement, have a subscription where it literally just auto debits their account every month. We do find that clients typically don't really opt in for that, or they give some pushback. So we took that out of our contracts a while ago, but it's something that you can do if you want to do it. So the next way that you can get paid is something that we're doing all the time, which is a wire transfer. So not sure if you know this, if you haven't bought a house or anything like that where you sent a large amount of money, but basically all a wire is a bank account to a bank account communication. So you send a wire, and usually it's done for large, lump sums of money in the thousands of dollars. You're typically not going to send a wire for like $200 or something like that. But it's a very similar experience to Stripe. You send an invoice, they can pay it digitally. And when it hits your account, it looks just like this up here at the top. This is a recent invoice that was paid by one of our clients for 22 Gs. Most of our clients that are paying us over $10,000 per month typically pay us via a wire just because it's a very large amount of money. They just process it straight through their bank through the wire transfer portal. Or a lot of our clients at this point have large accounts payable teams, so they'll just batch through a bunch of vendor wires we find on a monthly basis, and we're one of those that gets paid out. Some of the pros of this, it's the most common form of payments in the world. Anybody who's ever bought a house, bought real estate, sent anybody any lump sum of money, typically it's done via wire transfer because you're not always like sending invoices for those things. And it's an instant payment. I mean, it's literally wire is sent, same day, boom, money hits the account. It's really, really simple. One of the cons though is that the client does pay a transfer fee. So if your retainer is only like $1,000, the transfer fee, depending on the bank, can be like $25 or $50. So they might want to have something that they don't have to pay the fee for, like Stripe or sending you a paper check. And it can also require a lot of steps depending on their bank and their portal. We've got like 5 different business bank accounts that we send wires from, and some of them it's like 2 steps to send a wire, and some it's like 10 or 11 steps to send a wire. So it can just require a lot of steps. And just like I was talking about with paper checks, the client having to walk to the post office to mail the check, it can sometimes just lead to late payments and stuff like that. But again, pretty simple. A lot of people do it, and you don't have to pay fees when you receive wires, which is nice. Another platform that's really similar to Stripe, it's a little bit different, is a platform called Bill.com. So we're actually seeing a lot of clients move to this. They're getting a lot of traction, a lot of adoption for Bill.com lately. It's a great platform. Very simple. You can send them an invoice within Bill.com. They pay it digitally by just entering their check information, or I believe they also accept credit card payments now, if I'm not mistaken, and the money is deposited into your account. It's really simple. The best way I can describe Bill.com for the client experience is it's just like mailing you a paper check, but they don't have to drop the check in the mail. They basically just read the numbers at the bottom of the check, enter that information into Bill.com, and they pay you. So it's a lot faster and easier than mailing a paper check, and many businesses we're finding right now are moving to Bill.com. But one of the cons is it's really not the fastest. So it's not as slow as a mail carrier having to literally carry you the paper check that's being mailed, or them being delayed getting to the post office to mail it. But it's definitely not as fast as Stripe. It can take 7 to 10 business days sometimes for payments to make it through Bill.com, and we know this because we get paid a lot through Bill.com. But sometimes you get paid in 3 days. There's really just no rhyme or reason or predictability to it. But again, great platform, really low fees. And it's a great platform to get paid that a lot of people are using that I would definitely recommend. One you might be familiar with is PayPal. So you probably, if you've bought anything, off of eBay or anything on the internet, you may have used PayPal in the past. Pretty much everybody has a PayPal account. Really similar experience to Stripe, but there are some things that you should be aware of, which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, I mean, literally in PayPal, you can create an invoice right at the top. You just say, pay or get paid, create an invoice, send it to their email address. It looks just like this on the right-hand side here. We don't use PayPal, so this is just an example. And money hits your account shortly thereafter. It's directly deposited through PayPal, quick payments, quick transfers typically. Some of the pros, most people have a PayPal account. So if you send them a PayPal invoice, again, frictionless payments, very easy for them to process that money. It's really also great for overseas agencies because a lot of you guys have PayPal in your country, even if you don't live here in the United States, and you can take payments from around the world because PayPal's used in most countries all over the world. But something that you should be aware of with PayPal is one, that there's obviously a transaction fee for using the service. It's just similar to Stripe. But one of the things that PayPal is unfortunately sort of known for is just holding on to funds for a prolonged period of time. They'll like review the transfer sometimes, and it can sometimes be, several days for them to go through that, or sometimes several weeks or even months. We're in a lot of Facebook groups, we're in a lot of school communities with agency owners, and we've just seen, people for whatever reason having their funds be, held onto by PayPal, which typically are eventually released. But again, you don't want to have that. You want to receive your money, pay your team, go and fulfill your services, and go and do cool stuff with the money that you're working hard for. And just something to be aware of with PayPal. Pretty unlikely that it'll happen. It's not happening to everybody or anything like that. It's people are using PayPal all the time, and it's for a reason. But just something you should be aware of. And for this reason, we don't use PayPal personally. All right, and the last payment method that I'm going to talk about here is actually two different payment methods that are different platforms, but they're very similar, and that's Payoneer and Veem. Now, the reason I'm talking about both of these is they're really ideal for our friends that are, again, international. These are purpose-built platforms for international payments. They're similar to Stripe and PayPal, very, very similar, but they're really, again, just purpose-built for international payments. The invoice looks just like what you're seeing over here on the right-hand side, and we're actively actually paying team members through both of these platforms. So I can say they're really easy. I enjoy paying our team members through these. Our team members are contractors that use these payments that live overseas. They just send me a weekly invoice, and I pay it out. It's a couple of clicks, boom, payment is sent. Really easy, really frictionless, and really easy to make online payments. And it just takes a couple of days to get to them. So it's also very, very quick. Not as quick as a wire transfer, but the fees are a lot lower than having to pay a wire transfer on some of the smaller invoices that we're paying out to our team members. So yeah, it's just a great way of getting paid, especially if you're in India or Pakistan or anywhere else and you're watching this video and watching our channel. This might be a really good option for you. One of the only cons to this is just the fact that it takes a little bit longer to transfer, especially if you're doing international payments, because they need to basically receive that payment, verify it, and then consolidate it and transfer it into whatever local currency it's being paid out as. You can also do international payments through PayPal. I think I mentioned that earlier in the video. But these are really purpose-built for that. And these are a lot more similar to Stripe with a little bit less risk than PayPal, and especially with international payments and them holding onto your funds. All right, so that's it for the payment methods. Let me know in the comments down below what other questions you guys have. All these videos that we create come from the YouTube comments that you guys ask. So if you want to have your question answered, drop it in the comments down below. And if you want one-on-one support on your questions, check out Growth School. It's the best community of agency owners that's ever been created. Derek and I are super active in there, and for a limited time, anybody who joins Growth School is getting a one-on-one coaching call with myself or Derek personally as soon as you join the community. We'd love to see you in there. Check it out if you haven't already. And a great video to watch after this one would be this one right here, where I walk you through how to set up that contract that I talked about earlier in this video.